stood before the massive gates of Station Arcturus 7, staring up at the structure that would be his home for the next 3 years, the Galactic Enforcement Academy. He had dreamed of this moment since he was 12 years old, watching old videos of peacekeepers protecting trade routes and hunting down criminals across star systems. Now, at 20 years old, he was the first human to be accepted here in over 2 decades. The station was enormous. Ships from 100 different worlds docked at its ports. Aliens of every shape and size walked past him, most not bothering to look his way, gripped his bag and walked through the gates. Inside, the registration hall buzzed with activity. Cadets lined up at various stations, receiving their assignments and uniforms, joined the queue behind a tall, crystalline being whose body reflected light in rainbow patterns. The creature turned, its faceted eyes studying him with what seemed like curiosity. "A human," it said, its voice chiming like bells. "How unusual." Before could respond, a booming voice cut through the hall. "Squad 12 front and center." Checked his Squad 12. That was him. He hurried toward the voice and found himself standing before a massive warrior. The alien stood nearly 8 feet tall, with 4 powerful arms and gray, rock-like skin. His eyes were dark and cold. "I am your squad leader," he announced. His gaze swept over the assembled cadets before landing on. Those dark eyes narrowed. "And what are you?" "Cadet, sir," replied, keeping his voice steady. "From Earth." A ripple of laughter passed through the other cadets. His mouth curved into something that might have been a smile on a human, but looked threatening on his alien features. "Earth," repeated slowly. "The backwater protected zone. Tell me, human, does your planet still require Galactic Council protection from its own sun?" More laughter. Felt his face grow hot, but he said nothing. "I asked you a question," Cadet pressed. "No, sir, we don't." "Then, why is your world still quarantined? Why are you people kept locked away from the rest of the galaxy like children who cannot be trusted with sharp objects?" Didn't have an answer to that. He had asked the same question many times himself. Earth had been under galactic protection status for over a century. Travel was restricted. Trade was limited. No one would explain why. "That's what I thought," said dismissively. "Take your position at the rear, human. Try not to slow us down." The first week was brutal. Every morning began with physical assessments. Ran the obstacle courses, climbed the walls, and completed the combat drills alongside cadets who were stronger, faster, and better equipped than him. The warriors had 4 arms and skin like armor. They could shift their crystalline bodies to slip through narrow spaces. They communicated telepathically, coordinating perfectly without speaking a word. Had none of those advantages. He was just human, soft skin, 2 arms, average strength. By the end of the first week, he ranked dead last among the 200 cadets. In the mess hall, the mockery continued. Sat alone at a corner table, eating the bland protein paste that the station's food synthesizers produced. A group of cadets at the next table weren't bothering to keep their voices down. "Humans are weak," one said. "Their planet is barely Class 7. They have no natural weapons, no armor, no special abilities." "I heard their world is so safe that predators died out," another added. "They've never had to fight for survival." "Then why does the council keep them isolated?" a third voice asked. "There must be a reason." The first speaker laughed. "Because they're fragile. One human ship wandered into space 50 years ago and the council panicked. Declared the whole species protected. It's embarrassing." Forced himself to keep eating. Getting angry wouldn't help. He needed to focus on improving, on proving that humans belonged here. "You shouldn't listen to them." Looked up. A woman in a medical officer's uniform stood beside his table. She was human, with kind eyes and short black hair. Her name tag read Dr. DePark. "May I sit?" she asked. Nodded, grateful for any friendly face. De sat down across from him. She studied his face for a moment before speaking quietly. You're the first human cadet in a long time. That makes you special, but it also makes you a target." "I noticed," said bitterly. "What they're saying about Earth, about the protection status, it's not the whole truth." Leaned forward. "Then what is the truth?" De glanced around the mess hall, making sure no one was listening closely. "Earth isn't quarantined to protect us from them. Think about it. Really think about it. Why would the galaxy's most powerful species need protection from anything?" "I don't understand." "You will," De said softly. "Just remember this. Humans have a reputation out here. It's not what you think. And there are people, powerful people, who work very hard to keep that reputation quiet." Before could ask more questions, De stood up. "Focus on your training. Push yourself harder than you've ever pushed before. When the time comes, your instincts will guide you. They're stronger than you know." She walked away, leaving with more questions than answers. That night, lying in his bunk, thought about his grandfather. Wujin had been the one to encourage him to apply to the academy. His grandfather rarely spoke about his own past, but knew he had served in some military capacity before Earth's isolation. There were old photos in the house showing his grandfather in a uniform didn't recognize, standing with aliens had never seen. Once when was 16, he had asked his grandfather directly, "Why doesn't Earth want to join the galaxy? Why are we kept separate?" His grandfather had looked at him with strange, sad eyes. "Because sometimes, the kindest thing strong people can do is pretend to be weak. It lets everyone else sleep at night." Hadn't understood then. He still didn't fully understand now, but Des' words echoed in his mind. Earth wasn't protected from the galaxy. Could it really be the other way around? The next morning announced Squad 12's first major assignment. They would participate in the Hunt Trial, a 7-day survival exercise on one of the galaxy's most dangerous worlds. Every squad would be dropped on Prime with minimal supplies. Their mission: track and capture a Void Stalker, a predator that had killed experienced hunters from a dozen species. As explained the details, noticed something. The squad leader kept glancing at him with an expression that wasn't quite contempt anymore. It was something else, something that looked almost like unease. Whatever was about to happen on Prime, realized, would change everything. The shook violently as it entered Prime's atmosphere, gripped his harness, watching through the viewport as green jungle rushed up to meet them. The planet's 3 moons hung in a purple sky, casting strange shadows across the landscape below. "Listen carefully," instructor said from the front of the ship. The veteran had cold eyes that seemed to look through rather than at the cadets. "Prime is a Class 9 death world. The air is toxic to most species, so your masks stay on at all times. The temperature will drop to freezing at night, and everything here wants to kill you." Checked his gear for the 3rd time. He had a basic survival pack, a respirator mask, a combat knife, and a tracking device. The tracking device would record his location and vital signs, sending data back to the academy. If his heart stopped, a rescue team would be dispatched. Maybe. "Your target is a Void Stalker," continued. "They hunt in darkness, move without sound, and can detect body heat from 3 miles away. Capturing one requires teamwork, strategy, and perfect execution. Most squads fail this trial. Some squads don't return at all." The instructor's eyes lingered on for a moment longer than necessary, shifted uncomfortably. Why did keep looking at him like that? "Squad 12, you'll be dropped at coordinates 77 Alpha said. "You have 7 days. Good hunting." The doors opened, and one by one the squads jumped into the jungle below. When Squad 12's turn came, went first, followed by the other cadets. Jumped last, feeling the wind rush past as he fell toward the canopy. His harness deployed automatically, catching him in a mesh net that lowered him through the branches. He landed hard on soft ground. The jungle was immediately overwhelming. Strange sounds echoed from every direction. Plants with purple leaves grew thick around him, and insects the size of his fist buzzed through the air. pulled on his respirator mask and activated his tracking device. Squad 12, regroup at my position. His voice crackled through the comm system. Followed his tracker toward the signal. It took him 20 minutes to find the rest of the squad. They had already gathered in a small clearing, reviewing maps on there. Good, everyone's here, said without looking at. We'll establish a base camp 2 kilometers north near the river. From there, we'll begin tracking the Void Stalker. What about our equipment distribution? Asked Myra, one of the cadets. We need to assign roles. Nodded. And Thorn, you'll handle perimeter security with the detection equipment. Myra, and you'll manage supplies and logistics. I'll lead the tracking team. Waited for his assignment, said nothing. Sir, what should I do? Finally asked. Turned to him slowly. You, human, will stay at base camp, guard our supplies, try not to get yourself killed. But those are your orders, cadet. The squad moved out, leaving to carry the heaviest supply pack. They hiked through dense jungle for hours. The terrain was brutal, full of steep hills and thick vegetation. His legs burned, but he kept pace. He wouldn't give them another reason to mock him. When they reached the river, the squad set up camp. Tents were assembled, equipment was distributed, and a defensive perimeter was established. Through it all was given the most basic menial tasks. Fetch water, dig the waste pit, stand guard while the others ate. That night, as the squad planned their hunting strategy, sat outside his small tent, eating his rations alone. He could hear them talking through the comm system. We'll move faster without the humans slowing us down, said. Agreed, another voice replied. Why did the Academy even accept him? Switched off his comm and stared up at the alien sky. 3 moons, all different colors. He thought about Dis words, about his grandfather's strange comment, about the way instructor had looked at him. Something wasn't right about all of this. The next morning made an announcement. Squad 12 will split up to cover more ground. The tracking team will head east to follow the Void Stalker's thermal signatures. You'll remain here to guard base camp. For how long? Asked. Until we return. Could be 1 day, could be 6. They left him there with minimal supplies and a malfunctioning comm device. Watched them disappear into the jungle, and he understood. They had abandoned him. If he stayed at camp and did nothing, he would fail the trial. If he left camp to hunt on his own, he would be violating orders. Either way, they expected him to fail. Looked around the empty camp. Then he made a decision. He wasn't going to fail. He wasn't going to wait here like a helpless child. If they wanted to abandon him, fine. He would complete this trial alone. He packed light, water, rations, his knife, and the tracking device. He studied the map on his, noting the areas marked as high-danger zones where Void Stalkers were most commonly found. Then he headed south, away from where his squad had gone. The jungle grew darker and denser as he walked, moved carefully, watching for predators. His grandfather had taught him to hunt back on Earth, tracking deer through the mountains. The principles were the same here. Watch for signs, listen for sounds, move slowly and deliberately. After 3 hours, he found something strange. Marks on a tree trunk. They looked old, weathered by years of rain and growth, but recognized them immediately. They were human military symbols, the kind used by special forces teams to mark safe paths and danger zones. His grandfather had used those same symbols when teaching him survival skills. His heart raced. Humans had been here before, but when and why? He followed the marks, finding more along the way. They led him deeper into the jungle, into areas his map marked as extreme danger zones. The air grew colder. The sounds of insects faded. Something was moving through this part of the jungle, something that scared away everything else. Found tracks in the mud, large 3-toed prints, fresh. A Void Stalker had passed through here recently. He crouched low, studying the tracks. The creature was moving in a pattern, circling back on itself. Hunting behavior. Looked around carefully. The stalker was probably watching him right now, deciding if he was prey or threat. His grandfather had taught him another lesson about hunting. The best way to catch a predator is to make it think it's caught you. Set a trap. Be patient. Let it come to you. He found a clearing with wood and began to prepare. Using branches and vines, he constructed simple snares along the likely approach paths. He dug shallow pits and covered them with leaves. Basic traps, nothing sophisticated. But they didn't need to catch the stalker. They just needed to slow it down to make it cautious. Then did something that felt strange but right. He stopped moving altogether. He sat down in the center of the clearing, back against a tree, and waited. Hours passed. The purple sky darkened. Prime's 3 moons rose, casting weird shadows. Didn't move. He barely breathed. His grandfather's voice echoed in his memory. Patience is a weapon. The prey that waits becomes the hunter. Something moved in the darkness beyond the clearing. A shape, black and massive, testing the edge of his trap line. The void stalker had come. His hand tightened on his knife. He still didn't move. Let it come closer. Let it commit. Then his comm device crackled to life. All squads emergency. Squad 12 is under attack. Multiple hostiles, requesting immediate assistance. It was his voice, and for the first time heard fear in it. The void stalker in front of him melted back into the shadows. The moment was lost. Stood up and checked his tracker. Squad 12 was 15 kilometers north. They were in trouble, real trouble. He could ignore the call. They had abandoned him. They deserved whatever happened to them. But wasn't that person? He checked his supplies, adjusted his pack, and started running north through the dark jungle. His squad needed help, and he was going to save them, whether they deserved it or not. Ran through the dark jungle without stopping. His lungs burned and his legs ached, but he kept moving. The tracking device on his wrist showed Squad 12's position, still 15 kilometers away. He had been running for over an hour. Any other species would have stopped to rest by now. They were strong but built for short bursts of power, not endurance. They needed time to reconfigure their crystalline structures after exertion. Even they, with their telepathic coordination, had physical limits. But was human. His body had been shaped by 200,000 years of persistence hunting on Earth's African plains. His ancestors had chased prey for days until the animals collapsed from exhaustion. They had outlasted everything. That ability was coded into his DNA, waiting to be used. He jumped over fallen logs, ducked under branches, and splashed through shallow streams. His heart rate stayed elevated but steady. His breathing fell into a rhythm. This was what his body was designed to do. After 2 hours of running, he reached Squad 12's position. The scene was chaos. He had taken cover behind a cluster of large rocks, pinned down by 3 void stalkers that circled in the darkness. These weren't the solitary hunters the briefing had described. They were working together, coordinating their attacks like a pack. His armor was torn, and green blood seeped from wounds on 2 of his arms. Myra's crystalline body had cracks running through it. The other cadets looked exhausted and terrified. "Human," shouted when he spotted, "get back, you can't help here." Ignored him. He studied the situation quickly. The 3 stalkers were staying in the shadows, darting in for quick attacks before retreating. They were testing the squad's defenses, waiting for someone to make a mistake. Traditional tactics wouldn't work. Fighting them head-on would get everyone killed. But didn't need to fight them head-on. He pulled out his knife and cut a long strip from his shirt. He wrapped it around a rock and lit it using the emergency fire starter from his pack. The flame caught quickly, creating a makeshift torch. The stalkers hissed and backed away from the light. "They hunt in darkness," called out. "They avoid light. We need to keep them off balance." He threw the torch toward the nearest stalker. The creature scrambled away, and in that moment of distraction, sprinted forward. Not toward the safety of the rocks where his squad hid, but away from them. Into the jungle, drawing the stalker's attention. "What is he doing?" someone shouted. The stalker's head swiveled toward fresh prey, moving alone, easy target. All three creatures turned and chased after him. Ran through the jungle with the stalkers right behind him. He could hear their heavy footfalls, could feel their hot breath on his back, but he didn't panic. He had a plan. His grandfather had taught him that humans don't win by being stronger or faster. They win by being smarter, by using their environment, by turning every disadvantage into an advantage. Led the stalkers through the densest parts of the jungle, where branches hung low and roots tangled across the ground. The creatures were large and powerful, but that size became a disadvantage in tight spaces. They had to slow down, had to pick their way through obstacles that could slip past easily. He gained distance, not much but enough. After 30 minutes of running, reached the place he had been heading for, the river. The same one where Squad 12 had made their base camp days ago. The water rushed fast and deep, fed by mountain runoff. Dove in without hesitation. The freezing water hit him like a physical blow, but he forced himself to swim. Behind him, the three stalkers reached the riverbank. They paced back and forth, confused. Their prey had vanished into the water. One of them stepped into the river tentatively, then quickly backed out. They were land predators. Water wasn't their element. Good. Let the current carry him downstream, keeping his head just above water. The cold was intense, but he had trained in cold water back on Earth. His body knew how to handle this. Conserve heat. Keep breathing steady. Don't let panic set in. After 10 minutes in the river, he pulled himself onto the far bank. His body shook from cold, but he was alive, and he had bought his squad time. But he wasn't done yet. Circled back through the jungle, moving carefully now. The stalkers would be confused, scattered. That was when predators were most vulnerable, when their coordination broke down. He found the first stalker near the rocks where his squad still hid. The creature was packing, agitated, searching for the prey that had escaped. Approached from downwind, moving so slowly that he barely disturbed the leaves beneath his feet. This was the oldest form of human hunting, persistence and patience. Get close, wait for the perfect moment, strike when they least expect it. Picked up a heavy rock. He waited until the stalker turned its head away, distracted by a sound from the squad's position. Then he threw the rock with all his strength, not at the creature itself, but at the ground right behind it. The stalker spun around, confused by the sudden noise from an unexpected direction. In that moment of confusion, moved. He ran straight at the creature, shouting, waving his arms, making himself seem bigger and more dangerous than he actually was. The stalker, already off balance and uncertain, did what all predators do when faced with unexpected aggression. It backed away. Right into the trap line that Squad had set up earlier. The nets deployed automatically, tangling around the stalker's legs. The creature thrashed and roared, but it was caught. One down. Now shouted to his squad, "While it's contained." And the others emerged from cover, firing their capture weapons. The stalker went down, sedated. Before anyone could celebrate, the other two stalkers attacked from the darkness. But this time, the squad was ready. This time, they weren't fighting alone. Kept moving, kept drawing their attention, kept forcing them to divide their focus. He didn't try to match their strength. He just kept them off balance, kept them confused, kept them making mistakes. He ran for another hour, then another. His squad fought when they had the advantage and retreated when they didn't. It was messy, chaotic, exhausting. But slowly, methodically, they gained ground. By the time Prime's 3 moons reached their peak, all 3 Void Stalkers were captured and sedated. Squad 12 stood among the nets and equipment, breathing hard, covered in dirt and blood. Stared at with an expression the human couldn't read. "You ran for 3 hours straight," the said slowly, "without stopping, through hostile terrain, in the dark." Shrugged, too tired to care about impressing anyone. "I had to." "That's not possible," Myra said. Her crystalline body was still showing cracks from the battle. No species can sustain that kind of exertion. The body breaks down, the muscles fail. Human bodies don't work like yours, a new voice said. Everyone turned. Another cadet emerged from the jungle. He was human, though his uniform had been modified with alien insignia. He was older than maybe 25 with a scar across his cheek. "Who are you?" demanded. "Sangwoo Lee," the man said. "I've been watching." His eyes met. "Well done, brother, you made them remember what we are." "What you are," repeated. "Explain yourself." Sangwoo smiled, but it wasn't friendly. "Humans are persistent predators. Back on Earth, our ancestors would pick a prey animal and chase it. Not sprint after it, just jog, for hours, for days if necessary. The prey would run until its heart burst, until it overheated, until it physically couldn't move anymore. And then our ancestors would walk up and kill it." The squad members looked at with new eyes, not with mockery now, with something else, something that looked like fear. "You people mock us," Sangwoo continued. "You call us weak, soft, but you don't understand what Earth did to us. Our world tried everything to kill us. Ice ages, predators, diseases, starvation, and we just kept going. We outlasted everything. We're still here." "Why are you telling us this?" asked quietly. "Because someone needs to," Sangwoo said. "Before you meet more of us, before you understand what's really been kept from you." Back at the academy, news of Squad 12's success spread quickly. But so did other news. News about the human cadet who had run through a death world for 3 hours without stopping, who had taken down 3 void stalkers using nothing but endurance and patience. In her office, instructor sent an encrypted message to an unknown recipient. The message was simple: "We have another one. The bloodline continues. Recommend immediate protocol activation." Deep in the galaxy, on a ship that carried no identifying markers, someone received that message and began preparations to travel to Station Arcturus 7. It was time for the galaxy to remember what they had been trying so hard to forget. It was time for the Supreme Hunter to return. 3 days after Squad 12 returned from Prime, alarms blared throughout Station Arcturus 7. Every cadet was ordered to their quarters immediately. Armed security filled the corridors. Something was happening, something big. Stood by his window, watching ships scatter from the docking ports like fish fleeing a shark. In the distance, a single vessel approached. It was small, unmarked, and completely black. It didn't request permission to dock. It simply came. "All personnel report to the main assembly hall," a voice announced over the station speakers. "This is not a drill. All personnel report immediately." The assembly hall was massive, designed to hold thousands. By the time arrived, it was already packed. Cadets whispered nervously to each other. Instructors stood at attention, their faces tense. Even instructor, who never showed emotion, looked worried. At the front of the hall, Academy Commander waited. The ancient's crystalline body shimmered with stress patterns. Beside him stood several figures in expensive robes bearing the symbols of the Galactic Council. "Attention," called out. The hall fell silent. "We have been informed that we will receive a visitor today. This visitor has significant authority. You will show proper respect." "Who's coming?" someone whispered behind. The answer came as the hall's main doors opened. A man walked in. He was human, perhaps in his 60s, with gray hair and weathered skin. He wore simple clothes, nothing fancy. He carried no weapons that could see. He looked like someone's grandfather. But the reaction he caused was immediate and extreme. Every alien in the hall took a step back. Some of them visibly trembled. Commander bowed deeply. Something had never seen him do for anyone. The council representatives actually moved behind the commander, as if seeking protection. The human man walked calmly to the center of the hall. His eyes swept across the assembled crowd, and when they landed on, they held for a moment. Something passed between them. Recognition. "My name is Wu Jin," the man said. His voice was quiet but carried clearly through the hall. "Some of you know who I am. For those who don't, I'll explain." He turned to Commander. "Show them the records, the real ones." Hesitated, then activated the hall's main display screen. Images appeared. Old footage, grainy and damaged by time. The first image showed a younger Wu Jin in military uniform. Behind him, explosions lit up a dark sky. Ships burned in orbit above an alien world. 30 years ago, Wu Jin said, the Empire decided to test humanity's resolve. They believed Earth's protection status made us weak. They attacked one of our exploration ships. The footage changed. Now it showed war fleets, massive and powerful, moving through space. The Galactic Council begged us not to retaliate. They offered compensation, territory, technology. We refused. Wu Jin's voice remained calm, almost gentle. They believed we were afraid. They were wrong. The next footage made several cadets gasp. It showed warships exploding one by one, but there was no attacking fleet visible. No massive human armada, just darkness and death. "I volunteered to resolve the situation," Wu Jin continued. "I took a single stealth ship and tracked the fleet into deep space. It took me 3 months. Standing near the front, spoke up. "That's impossible. No one can survive 3 months alone in a stealth ship. The life support, the rations." "Human life support," Wu Jin corrected. "Human rations. Our requirements are different from yours. Lower, more efficient. We evolved to survive on very little for very long periods." The footage showed more destruction. Capital ships torn apart. Command centers going dark. And through it all, never a clear image of the attacker. "The Empire had 47 warships in that fleet," Wu Jin said. "I eliminated their entire command structure in 2 weeks. Admirals, generals, strategic coordinators. I was never seen, never caught, never even detected until I wanted to be." The final image showed a transmission. Military leaders, proud warriors, broadcasting their unconditional surrender. "They surrendered to one human," Wu Jin said simply. "After that, the Galactic Council made a decision. Earth would be quarantined, not to protect us from you, to protect you from us." Complete silence filled the hall. Every alien looked at the human cadets with new eyes, eyes full of fear. One of the council representatives stepped forward. His voice shook. "The agreement was clear, Wu Jin. Humanity would remain isolated. You would not train more hunters. You would not." "I trained my grandson," Wu Jin interrupted calmly. "As is my right. Earth's isolation was never meant to be permanent. We agreed to give the galaxy time to prepare. That time is ending." "We're not ready," the council representative said desperately. "You'll never be ready," Wu Jin replied. "But it doesn't matter. Humanity will not hide forever. We are not a threat to peaceful species, but we will not be mocked. We will not be dismissed. And we will not allow our children to be treated as inferior." He turned to face the assembly. "My grandson is here. I want to know who treated him poorly." No one spoke. Felt every eye in the hall turned toward him. He opened his mouth, unsure what to say. Stepped forward instead. The massive approached Wu Jin, and despite being twice the old man's size, he moved carefully, like someone approaching a dangerous predator. "I did," said. "I mocked him. I abandoned him on Prime. I believed humans were weak." "And now?" Wu Jin asked. Looked at, then back at Wu Jin. "Now I understand why your people are kept isolated. I understand what the council has been hiding from us." "Do you?" Wu Jin's eyes were sharp. "Tell me what you understand." "Your said, true. Your planet tried to kill you for millions of years, and you survived by becoming something that can't be killed. You don't have our strength or our speed. You have something worse. You have endurance, patience, the ability to chase your prey until it dies of exhaustion." "We call it persistence hunting," Wu Jin said. "But yes, you understand correctly." "Then prove it," said suddenly. "I challenge you. Let me try to escape. Give me the same chance you gave my ancestors' fleet. If I'm wrong about humans, I'll survive. If I'm right, he trailed off. Wu Jin studied the for a long moment. Then he smiled, and it was not a comforting expression. Very well, you'll have 3 days head start. Use any equipment you want. Go anywhere on this station. Run, hide, fight. Do whatever you need to survive. And you asked. I'll walk, Wu Jin said simply. I won't run. I won't use weapons beyond simple tools. I'll just walk. And I won't stop. Not for food, not for sleep, not for anything. I'll walk until I find you. The council representatives tried to object, but Wu Jin cut them off. This is happening. The requested it. I accepted. Begin the hunt. Left immediately, practically running from the hall. He had 3 days to prepare, to hide, to fortify a position. 3 days seemed like plenty of time. But as watched his grandfather's calm face, he knew the truth. 3 days wouldn't be enough. 3 months wouldn't be enough. Once a human begins the hunt, there is no escape. There is only the slow, terrible certainty that they're coming, always coming, never stopping. The galaxy had forgotten that lesson. They were about to remember. His grandfather said quietly, approaching him, "Walk with me." They left the hall together, grandfather and grandson, 2 humans among thousands of aliens. As they walked, noticed how the crowds parted for them, how conversations stopped when they passed, how even the instructors bowed their heads. "You've made them afraid of us," said. "No," Wu Jin replied. "I reminded them of what they already knew but chose to forget. Fear keeps the peace. Respect comes from understanding strength. The galaxy will learn both before we're done here." "What happens after you catch?" "Then we go home," his grandfather said, "and we tell Earth that it's time, time to stop hiding, time to take our place among the stars." "Will they accept us?" Wu Jin looked at his grandson with sad, knowing eyes. "They'll have no choice. Humanity has been patient long enough. Now the galaxy learns what happens when stop pretending to be weak." The hunt began at midnight station time. Had 3 days head start, and he used every second wisely. The warrior requisitioned thermal camouflage, sound dampeners, and enough supplies to last 2 weeks. He studied maps of the station's maintenance tunnels, identified abandoned sections, and created multiple fallback positions. Commander had reluctantly agreed to broadcast the hunt throughout the station. Every screen showed split views, preparing his defenses, and Wu Jin sitting calmly in a meditation chamber, waiting for his time to begin. "This is insane," De said, standing beside in the observation gallery. Hundreds of cadets and staff had gathered to watch. "Your grandfather is giving him every advantage." "That's the point," replied. "Grandfather wants everyone to understand. When a human hunts, advantages don't matter." On screen, moved through the maintenance tunnels with precision. He set traps, created false trails, and established a stronghold in a sealed section of the station that required special access codes to reach. He had food, water, weapons, and defensive fortifications. By the end of the 3rd day, his position looked impenetrable. The timer counted down. 3 days, 2 days, 1 day, 12 hours, 1 hour. Sat in his fortified position, weapons ready, monitoring every entrance. He looked confident, prepared. The timer reached 0. Wu Jin stood up from his meditation. He wore simple clothes and carried a walking stick made from station scrap metal. Nothing else. No weapons, no supplies, no equipment. He began to walk. The station's AI tracked his movement. Wu Jin moved through corridors at a steady pace, neither fast nor slow. When he reached an intersection, he would pause, tilt his head as if listening, then choose a direction. He never ran, never hurried. "He's moving away from his position," someone in the gallery said. "Does he not know where the target is?" "He knows," said quietly. "He's tracking." Hours passed. Wu Jin continued his patient walk through the station. Sometimes he would stop and examine scratch marks on walls or disturbed dust on floors. Sometimes he would simply stand still for minutes, as if sensing something invisible. Watched his own monitors nervously. He saw Wu Jin getting closer, always closer, even when the humans seemed to be walking in circles. It was like watching water flow downhill. It might take a winding path, but it would inevitably reach the bottom. 12 hours into the hunt, Wu Jin entered the maintenance tunnels, triggered the first trap. An energy barrier activated, blocking the corridor. It would take special tools and codes to bypass. Wu Jin studied the barrier for a moment, then simply turned and found another route. The maintenance tunnels were a maze, but he navigated them as if following an invisible trail. "How is he tracking?" Commander asked, watching from the command center. "There should be no trail. Used scent dampeners and thermal camouflage." "Micro-disturbances," instructor said. She had been silent throughout, but now she spoke with certainty. "Air pressure changes, dust patterns, the faint heat residue that lingers hours after passage. Humans evolved to read these signs instinctively. Their brains process thousands of environmental data points unconsciously. They don't just track with their eyes, they track with everything." 24 hours into the hunt, his confidence began to crack. Wu Jin was 3 levels away now, moving steadily through every obstacle. The tried changing his position, moving to a backup location. But within hours, Wu Jin adjusted his path, following like a shadow that could never be shaken. "He hasn't stopped," Myra whispered in the gallery. "It's been a full day and he hasn't stopped walking." "Humans don't need to stop," Sang-Woo said. He had joined the watching crowd. "Our bodies are designed for this: efficient metabolism, sweat cooling systems, bipedal movement that uses minimal energy. We can walk for days, weeks if necessary. Our ancestors could track prey across entire continents." 48 hours. Wu Jin walked, grew desperate. The set more traps, created diversions, even tried doubling back through his own trail to confuse the pursuit. Nothing worked. Wu Jin just kept coming, always walking, never stopping, never getting distracted. The psychological pressure was visible on his face. Every screen showed his deteriorating condition, exhaustion, fear, the terrible knowledge that escape was impossible. "This is what the border war was like," said, her voice distant with memory. "I was there on the diplomatic ship. We watched the fleet panic as their commanders disappeared one by one. They couldn't see him, couldn't catch him, couldn't even understand how he was hunting them. The psychological warfare was worse than any weapon." 60 hours. Abandoned his stronghold and ran. Pure panic flight now, all strategy forgotten. He sprinted through corridors, activated every door seal behind him, and tried to lose himself in the most crowded areas of the station. Wu Jin just kept walking. His pace never changed. He navigated around the crowd smoothly, excused himself politely when blocking someone's path, and continued his inexorable pursuit. 70 hours, could barely stand. The built for strength and power had burned through his energy reserves. His legs shook. His breathing was labored. He collapsed in a storage bay, too exhausted to continue. The door opened. Wu Jin walked in looking exactly as he had at the start, not winded, not tired, just patient. Tried to raise his weapon, but his hands were shaking too badly. "How?" he gasped. "How is this possible?" Wu Jin knelt beside the fallen warrior. From his pocket he produced a water container and offered it to. "Drink first, then I'll explain." The drank gratefully. Wu Jin sat down cross-legged, waiting patiently for his prey to recover enough to understand the lesson. "Your species evolved on a world of plenty," Wu Jin finally said. "Strong gravity that built your muscles, abundant resources. You became powerful, but power requires fuel. You burn energy quickly and need rest to recover." He gestured to himself. "Humans evolved on a hostile world with scarce resources. We couldn't be the strongest, so we became the most efficient. We learned to do more with less, to keep going when others had to stop. That's our advantage, not strength, endurance." The council knew this, said, his voice hoarse. They kept it secret. They thought they were protecting the galaxy, Wu Jin said. Perhaps they were right to be cautious, but secrets create fear. Fear creates conflict. It's time for truth instead. In the observation gallery, the assembled crowd watched in silence as Wu Jin helped to his feet. The hunt was over, but the lesson was just beginning. Commander called an immediate assembly. Every cadet, every instructor, every staff member gathered once more in the main hall. Wu Jin stood at the center with beside him. For 30 years, the Galactic Council has maintained Earth's quarantine, Wu Jin said. They told you it was for humanity's protection, but the truth is simpler and more frightening. Humans are persistence predators from a Class 10 death world. We evolved to outlast everything. We are not the strongest species in the galaxy. We are not the fastest but we are the species that doesn't stop. He let that sink in before continuing. Earth has 3 billion humans. We have been patient. We have respected the Council's wishes. But that time is ending. We will not hide anymore. We will not allow our children to be mocked or dismissed. We are ready to take our place among the stars. And if we oppose this, one of the Council representatives demanded. Wu Jin's expression didn't change. Then you will learn what happens when you hunt a human. We don't fight wars the way you do. We don't meet fleets in open battle. We find your leaders, your command centers, your critical infrastructure, and we walk toward them, slowly, patiently. Inevitably, you can run, you can hide, but we'll just keep coming. That's what we are. That's what Earth made us. The threat was delivered calmly, almost gently, but it sent chills through every alien in the hall. We're not asking for war, Wu Jin said. We're asking for respect. Treat humans as equals. Give them opportunities. Stop spreading lies about our weakness. Do this and we'll be your greatest allies. Refuse and you'll learn why we terrify you. Commander stepped forward. The Academy will immediately update all protocols regarding human cadets. They will be recognized as Class Apex, full honors and opportunities. Other stations followed suit over the coming days. The truth about humanity spread through the galaxy like wildfire. Some species protested, most simply accepted the new reality. Earth's quarantine was officially ended 3 months later. 5 years after that, commanded his own squad in the Galactic Enforcement. Squad 12, actually, had requested to serve under him, along with Myra and several others who had witnessed the hunt. They were now the most requested team for dangerous missions. Stood on the bridge of their patrol ship, looking out at the stars. De worked beside him as Chief Medical Officer. Sangwoo served as Tactical Advisor. More humans joined every year. The galaxy was learning to work with humanity. Some learned through friendship and cooperation. Others learned through hard lessons about what happens when you underestimate. But everyone learned respect. His communicator chimed. A message from Earth. His grandfather's face appeared on screen. "How goes it, grandson?" "We completed another mission," replied. "Rescued a cargo ship from pirates. The other crews are starting to request human support more often." "Good, show them what we are. Not through fear but through action. Be the human who helps, who protects, who endures when others cannot." "I will, grandfather, I promise." Wu Jin smiled. "I know you will, you're my grandson. The galaxy tried to hide us away. They failed. Now they see what we've always been. Not monsters, not weaklings, just humans, and that's enough." The transmission ended. Looked at his mixed species crew working together on the bridge. Different species, different strengths, united by mutual respect. This was what his grandfather had fought for. Not dominance, just recognition. Just the simple acknowledgement that humanity belonged here among the stars. And when the time came, when danger threatened, when other species reached their limits and had to stop, humans would still be there. Still walking forward, still enduring, still refusing to quit. Because that's what Earth had taught them to do. That's what they would always do. They scorned a young Earth native. Then their supreme hunter spoke his name, and the galaxy remembered why humans are kept isolated, not for protection from the universe, but because humans are the species the universe couldn't kill. And what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Humanity was very, very strong.